Shabbat Shalom, everyone. By the way, it's August the 15th, 2022, 6 p.m. Central Time. We're starting just as we always do. I want to welcome everyone that's here. I'm going to just line out some ground rules before we get started. I know there's a lot of new callers on the call tonight. Okay, a lot of new people calling in, and you know what? I'm glad you're here. Even if you're mad at me, I'm still glad you're here. Even if you don't like the things that I say, I'm still glad that you're here, because at least you have enough common sense and a smart enough mind to listen and weigh the things. Even though you might be, really kind of set on where you are, you're still listening. And you know what? There's hope for anybody that can do that. So I'm not talking down on you or anybody else for that matter. Now, about those ground rules, they're real simple. We don't interrupt each other. We don't talk crazy to each other, because if you talk crazy to me, you're gone. Okay, I'm going to tell you that now. Don't talk crazy. This is Shabbat. This is going to be an orderly process, and we're going to be respectful. I'm going to be respectful to anybody on this call. I don't even care if David Straight himself calls. I'll still be respectful to him, because that's just what we do. And that's the fruits in what we do. So when you hear somebody and they're yelling at you about all this stuff, you can't yell kindness into somebody's living room. You really can't. Okay. So that's not me. I'm just going to let y'all know that now. So how did I hear about David Straight? Well, I heard about David Straight because I watched him on a video. I saw that, this guy is talking, and really talking. Like, he's just really way out there. I'm just going to leave it like that. He's just really putting it out there. And does he know some things? Yes. Yes, he does know some things. Does he know how to complete anything he's doing? No. I see no fruits of that in anything that he does. I have not read this document yet. I'm letting y'all know. I'm going to read it to you guys. And those of you guys that are here on the conference call, I'm going to share the screen here. And those of you guys that want to actually read this thing with me, because I suck at reading out loud sometimes, but I'm going to really try my best. So go easy on me, everybody. If you guys are interested in joining us through the Uber conference board, you can. And you can actually watch this whole thing. And we're going to go through this page by page. And you'll be able to see it. What you'll do is you'll go to uberconferenceboard.com/freedom school. That's it's uberconference.com/freedom school. Okay. Those of you guys that want to join in, you have any questions, you can call in. So we can do it that way too. 1-888-570-7020. Those of you guys that have questions, okay, if you'll just unmute yourselves, I will switch back out of the screen periodically, and I will check to see if people have questions or inputs or anything like that. Ask away, man, and just trust me. We'll get through these questions tonight. But this is something I really wanted you to go with. This gentleman wrote this up. This is 18 pages long. Okay, are we going to go through all of it tonight? I'm going to say probably not. But we're going to go through enough of it to where hopefully you can see the stripes of this turkey and see that there's no fruits on this tree, guys. He's got some knowledge. He knows some things. But, well, that's just theory. I just have theories about that, him being from where he's at and this and that. Because understand, I'm just going to tell you, I learned this process personally, this process that all of you guys are chasing right now. I learned this process through the Mormons. That's right. And I watched them do it, figured out how they did it, and then I did it. Now, David just happens to be also from Utah. And anybody that knows anything about the Mormons, they know that there's a lot of Masons in the Mormon community. Quite a few of them, actually. And quite a few pedophiles, too. Of course, that goes with just about any religion these days, I think. So maybe he got a little information from there and it leaked out and it came out this way. Because, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you that's how I got my information. I learned all this stuff from there. So, maybe that's where it came from. Maybe that's where this little bit of information came from. But I can tell you, if he had success, he would not. He wouldn't be in Texas. He'd be back in Utah. He'd be doing it over there, because Tim Damron's from Texas, and Tim Damron's in Texas because Tim Damron has success with the things that I do, and because I have success with the things I do, I can come home, I can walk tall, and I can be what I need to be here. So I'm just going to tell you that's the proof in the pudding. Guys, look at this stuff. Another thing too is Google the man's name. You're going to see he's never been anywhere. He's never filed anything in the United States of anything. Nothing. Like nothing shows up on this guy. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't take much. Years ago I was on the ripoff report. So, anybody could be, anybody can get flagged. So, if you're doing this kind of stuff, you're going to be upsetting some people. You're going to be moving some things around a little bit. Derek Gonzalez is a good example of that. One of those teachers that does that. I don't condone that process, by the way, but that's what he does. Okay. And the result of that is there is no peace, and you're just going to war with people that really you have no business doing. So let's go forward. And then if you guys want to talk more about that, we can talk more about that. But I want to open up this thing with this problems with David Straight's process. Okay. It says first note on status correction. It is a piece of paper related to one's status. State national is not who you are. This is particularly true because the word person is used in the USC definition. I have heard recently from a man, I hate it when people say that, from a man who's been involved with status correction as a quote state citizen. Look up several Scott's cases on differences between state citizen and this and that. Okay, hold on a second. I'm just going to stop. I'm not reading all this. So this whole state citizen correction thing that he's talking about, we're going to talk more about this because he finalizes that in this affidavit of repudiation and potential alternative declaration of status. And I think that when we went through Tim Beecham's paperwork, remember, it was real similar to this affidavit. Actually, I think this is what he had. I think he had this affidavit of repudiation. And one of the things that I brought up is that this is pretty permanent stuff. This is like revoking your citizenship. This means turning off the social security number. That means if you think you have money in your trust, you just gave it away. And you really can't complete this process unless you ex parte your citizenship to another country. And I'm scanning through this right here, and that's exactly what he's saying right here. He says the copy of David Straight's own AOR that he received directly from him is dated 2019, and the book is dated from the 1990s. So Mel Sampler, and he's saying that he plagiarized this idea from Mel Sampler. Now, status corrections. Okay. You're going to see books like this out there. Okay. Get them. Okay. It's not a bad idea. You're going to learn a few things about this if you do. Okay. You're going to learn that there's a division between two and the two, but here's what you're not going to see. Excuse me. These books were printed in like for English people in England. Okay. So they're really talking about the Queen and the Magna Carta and all that stuff. And although it is kind of true and it is there, you really can't expect to get it all figured out with two little $5 books. Guys, you got to be smarter than this. Okay. Not bad books, but certainly not enough for you to go in there and do some of the things that I'm hearing that he does. So another issue. Let's see. Yeah, and he says exactly the same thing. Anybody got any input on that? I'm gonna just open up the call. If you've got it, go ahead and press star to unmute. If you guys have any input on that, any questions? Anybody? Anybody? Nope. Okay. Welcome to the call, everybody. Welcome. Louisiana, looks like we've got Louisiana here, and we've got area code 561. Welcome here as well. If you guys have a question about anything, just press star to unmute. And John, go ahead, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I can barely hear you though. Go ahead. What can I do for you? Or what did you have? What was your thoughts on this?
So you just mentioned because I've been hearing a lot about authenticating a birth certificate. Is that what you're talking about?
No. We could talk about authenticating the birth certificate, but what he's talking about is going through so a couple of weeks ago we talked about Tim Beecham's paperwork, and what we saw is that he had the same affidavit of repudiation and potential alternative and declaration of status. And the problem is that you can't do all that stuff unless you're leaving the country. So it's, hold on a second. I guess somebody wanted to join the call this way. Anyway, it's very hard to do that when people do that sort of stuff. So, sorry, just distracted. So, authenticating your birth certificate or the certificate of live birth, which is what you should be doing. Anybody that's telling you to authenticate the birth certificate, that's not going to help you at all. I mean, it establishes that you are the holder in due course, but you're the holder in due course of a security that's already done. If you have the long form and you get that authenticated, then what you have is you have the agreement. You have the agreement that your mother made with the state. And once it's authenticated and you become the holder in due course of that document, these morons will tell you to endorse it and mail it to the Treasury. Then what's your proof that you own yourself? You'd have nothing. So these are some of the things that I see in what I call the sovereign citizen folklore, because they'll do something and then immediately do something to contradict what they just did. For example, you'll hear a lot of times they'll say that they're going to do a name correction. And what they say is if they go down and they get the all caps name put in uppercase, lowercase, then that means they fixed something. No, you didn't. You just commingled the living man with with the legal fiction. And now you can't tell the two apart anymore. So you see, I hope that helps. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So you want to start somewhere. Go ahead.
What I don't understand is that when they're saying to authenticate your birth certificate to put it in a non-HA country, like, what does that mean?
Okay, a non-ag country means a non-ag country means a country that is not operated by the Federal Reserve. So what happens is if you were to go to a non-ag country like, say, China, and you rented a car there and you ended up driving it through a whole shopping mall and you killed 10,000 people, your bond is authenticated to handle whatever discharge they need to do for you to pay for. That's what that means. So when they're telling you, and they're right, to go get that thing authenticated for a non-ag country, it's because you want to be able to have proof that you hold that security unconditionally.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Like, think of it as like the title of your car, but instead it's your butt, literally. And the last thing you want to do is give it away. The last thing you want to do is tell the United States that, hey, you know what? You can keep that bond. You can keep that money. I'm going to change my status and I'm going to be a foreign national. I'm going to give it all away. And then Tim Beecham in the next paperwork decides he wants it all back again. And this is where these guys lose traction with me. I hope that makes sense.
Right.
You know,
because I've been looking into this stuff for only a couple months, and I haven't taken a dive into it because I'm hearing different things from different people, and it's kind of like it's confusing to me. I mean, I get the process of what they're talking about, but it's things that I don't understand that kind of like puts me in a fear status of even taking a step into it because so many people are saying so many different things. And I've been looking at Anna and David and Jordan Maxwell and things like that, but I don't know which one is right because people are saying, Anna's saying that David is a fraud. David is saying that Anna is a fraud.
Oh, are they fighting with each other now?
Yeah.
Oh, they used to be on the same team. They'd walk in the park together. I thought Kenny Plaster was their illegitimate child there for a while there. Sorry, Kenny, if you're listening. Hope you don't consider that bullying.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to discern who's truthful. I mean, I understand that Anna on her side, she's more aligned with the assemblies and trying to get public law back into place as opposed to David. He's more in line with child trafficking. But as far as all that goes, I mean, I'm just, I heard about this, it enlightened me, and I'm like, wow, there's a process where I could actually, I have a trust that I could take control of, but nobody actually tells you how to do it, and that's where I'm at. And I don't want to
Right.
take a step, or, I hear people talking about secure party creditors and, things of that nature, and that we do have a trust and we could pay off debt, but then again, it's like I hear, well, you do a certain thing a certain way, people are going to jail for fraud. And it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to risk it, but then I hear other people talking about no, you could be successful doing this, but there, I'm trying to figure out the right way to do it before I even jump into it. You know,
Sure. Sure.
I
Well,
don't want to jail, man. I live a peaceful life right now. But if something that is out there that I can take advantage of financially that's owed to me, I
sure.
want to grasp on it.
No, that makes total sense. And can I tell you that there is, okay? There is a way to do it. It can be done. It's privately. It's all done privately. And if you got anybody out in the public running around like this, chances are it's probably not credible. Let me tell you something about Jordan Maxwell. When I woke up, I woke up like in 2015, and Jordan Maxwell was one of the first persons I really listened to. And the dude just blew me away because he has so much knowledge about religions, about Jesuits, and how all this stuff is put together. And I mean, dude, he can go so deep, he can make your head hurt. But let's stop for just a minute. Let's do a little research on this guy. So you know that Jordan Maxwell died recently, penniless. He didn't have any money. Guy was broke, and he had a. So if you Google Jordan Maxwell, you'll see that he has a United States server, and then he also has some European person that has all of his stuff, all of his paperwork, everything, and they're selling it under Jordan Maxwell. And Jordan Maxwell got duped into doing this, and as a result, it cost him everything. So, all right. So if this thing isn't just a business, how come he couldn't just resurrect himself up and do it again? I've had to. I've had all my dominoes knocked down, and I got right back up again. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that's the difference between somebody that's doing it and somebody that's more of a professional student, and they're just out grandstanding. They're what I see, and that's really interesting. I really, that you said that. It was my understanding that David Strait and Anna were kind of on the same side because they both do exactly the same thing. They both circumvent themselves as being some sort of political liaison when they're really not. Like if you look at Anna Von Wright, she says she's a continental judge. She says she's a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you she's not, and she can't be a judge. Number one, she's never been elected. Number two, she's not a member of the bar, so she's not going to be a judge that way either. And just because you say you're a judge doesn't mean that you are a judge. And in this country, you can go to jail for that because you're required to have a bond. Anybody that impersonates a public official like that, that should just tell you right there she's full of it. That means just walk away. That means it's no bueno. Does she have some nuggets in what she's saying? Is there some truth in what she's saying? Yes. But is it going to get you where you want it to be? No. And it's because this process is something that has been privately taught for many, many years through private families for a very, very long time. And it was designed to keep other folks less informed so they didn't know what's going on. For example, I used to be a landscaping contractor, and this was years ago. This is 15 years ago. And my guys made $15 an hour or something working for me. If those guys knew how much I made on these jobs and knew all that I only paid them, $15 an hour to be there, they would probably have a different opinion about me. If they really understood all of this, the monies and everything that came through, they'd be like, hey, wait a minute, I'm getting kind of the low end of this. Well, yes, they are. And it's because they don't have the machinery, the equipment, and they don't have the other stuff. And I want you to look at your straw man the same way. Yes, you are. Yes, they're taking advantage of you. Yes, yes, yes. Is it fair? Well, it's fair if it, I guess here's the thing. You're not beat. You have the unlimited ability to contract. So because of that, you can make changes in your status. But here's one of the major fundamental issues that I see with all of this paperwork. And I think that you should look at this and consider this. When you're looking at this paperwork and it's giving notice, or when it's an affidavit of whatever, like this affidavit that we were talking about here, this affidavit of repudiation and potential alternative and declaration of state. Okay, look, if you're looking at their paperwork and their paperwork doesn't address anybody like specifically, or if they're addressing the wrong people, like for example, if you're trying to file stuff on the public record and your affidavits are just open-ended affidavits, they're not really directed to the general public, they're not directed to a particular political body or anything like that, that's why they're not filing them. Okay, that's why they're not filing this trash. That's why they're sending it back to you. I love Tim Beecham. He thinks it's because they don't know how to do their job, but in fact it's really Tim Beecham that doesn't know how to do his job. So we have a responsibility to ourselves, John. And what we got to do is we got to see these things through, and we got to study them. And you got to be with credible people that can show you real fruits. If they can't show you fruits of what they're doing, then you know what? It's time to dust the dust off your feet and move on. And I had to do plenty of that. I can't tell you how many grandstanders and people that would stay up all night long and beat on their chests and have court in their living rooms and say, oh, because if this equals this and this equals this, then it must equal this. And then everybody's excited. And then they run down the street with their underwear on their head. I posted a video this week of somebody trying to use some of this special appearance, the divine special appearance thing. It's stupid. In Texas, we actually have a rule. And in most states, they have a rule to make a special appearance. So when you don't use the rule, then the judge is able to interpret that any way he wants. And if you'll look at some of these cuckoo birds with this paperwork like this that he's talking about, and they're not getting any traction with the court. They're not listening to them. They're laughing at them. Okay. They're not respecting you. They're laughing at you. And they're laughing at you because you know a little bit about something, but you don't quite know what to call it. And because you don't quite know what to call it, they don't have to fix it. They don't have to tell you. And this is why these guys don't get it done. And then what I love to hear in the background always is, it's better to never go to court. Oh, yes, because we all sign up and just want to go to court. Yes, we do, for that voice in the background saying that. But if you consider that voice in the background, he's actually correct, because you shouldn't be in court at all. The minute you walk in there, you're done. You know why? Let me tell you why. There's a little room in the back. Yeah, and that's where the judge hangs out, and that's where he does his thing. But what he really does is he's like a play director. Yes. And what he does is he hands out everybody's parts. All right. We got the defense attorney over here. We got whoever over here, whether it be the state's defense or the defense attorney over here. We got the prosecutor over here. Okay. And basically the judge kind of says, all right, this is how it's going to go. You're going to act like this. You're going to act like this. And if you don't believe me, remember that attorneys will always ask you to go in. And if you're ever going to take a plea, they're going to tell you to go in and act remorseful. Act like he's really doing you a favor and really doing you a solid, because he doesn't have to take this plea if he doesn't want to. You know what? They've already planned. And let me tell you something, Bilbo Baggins. If you show up with your little paperwork that hasn't been filed anywhere, that just went from your printer to the glove box, okay, nobody is going to read all your paperwork and find Jesus with you. That's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. And I got to tell you, go with people that know what they're doing. Okay. I'm going to tell you that. See that you have fruits. Stop sharing this for a second. So definitions under a state citizen. Okay. Or a state citizen. It's defined under, and I'm going to tell you, man, TikTok is real picky about this because they flagged me like quick for this. I posted, and I wanted to show you guys this, but my IDs actually say this on the back. Really does. And it says, and it's not because I printed it there either. Anyway, USC 1101, paragraph A, and section 20 A and B, and sections 21 and 22 basically identify what a state national is, or what a national is. Okay. So there is no such thing as called a state national. Okay. So first and foremost, no such thing. There's a thing called an American national because you're an American and you're a national. So the term state national means a person owning a permanent allegiance to a state. This is a state citizen. Okay. The term national of the United States means a citizen of the United States, or a person, paragraph B, or a person being through not a citizen of the United States, but owns a permanent allegiance to the United States. So, and I know I just read that when it's talking about state national, but he's talking about a national. He's talking about these sorts of things. And you've got to be very, very careful. Okay. When you start talking about foreign nationals or any stuff like this, you really got to hold your P's and Q's down. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick question here in Allentown. Go ahead. Did you have a question? Okay, I'm going to mute you then. John, I'm going to mute you too, buddy. If you have any more questions, you just feel free to hit star to unmute, man. We are here for you. And that means for anybody else too, as much as I can be. So this defines what these, so when they say state nationals rock and this, understand that the term national is a term on its own. Okay. State is a designation. Okay. So when you're talking about a national, so I'm clearing that up. It's a person that is living in a state. Okay. So what is a state? A state is a territory. Okay. A state is a country. Those are all the same things. Yeah. You'll see it on TV all the time. Texas is his own country, because it is. It's just simple. So when you start looking at all this stuff, and you start looking at, and I'm going to post this. This is really good stuff, by the way. If anybody wants copies of this, let me know. I mean, I am happy to send this to you. This is really good stuff. And I got to tell you, the person that wrote this really did a phenomenal job. And I'm seeing that he really took some personal time. So the term national means a person owning a permanent allegiance to a state. So he's been teaching that the term state national is synonymous and is preferable to state citizen. He believes and teaches that the term citizen literally is translated to mean municipal servant. And thus he believes people who use the term are referring to themselves as municipal servants. After scouring books and internet and other resources, I nor anyone I know has been able to corroborate the meaning of the word citizen with David's teachings. So when you go back to this 8 USC 1101 paragraph A, section 21, write that down, okay? Because that language right there is exactly on the back of my ID. Yes, and I have that. So, and that's, and that's how that works. All right, estimated money. Let's see. There's another thing here. It says estimated money and time drain of David's AOR method. 3 days, $50 includes the purchasing of a tailor-made document for $50 and $25 to $100 plus for registered mail, and $100 to $250 plus $175 plus $450 total cost. Wow. And then he starts talking about operating within LexisNexis. I'm going to tell you, and people are just really going nuts with this whole LexisNexis thing. Okay, so LexisNexis is simply an agency that reports stuff on you. Okay, so if you challenge your credit report or something like that, they don't actually go check with the person. I mean, with the bank or whoever you're challenging. What they do is they go to these outsource people like LexisNexis, and there's a couple of other agencies too. Those of you guys that are interested in learning more about that, you can take my debt class, and I'll show you how to turn off all of those. So they don't have any more consent to be even in your business anymore. So I'm just going to leave that. We're just going to skip that page altogether. All right, state national passport problems. All right, it says the passport is a governing property as per 22 CFR section 51.9. Also refer to page 5 of the passport, which reads that this passport is the property of the United States government. Only the citizens of the United States can be in possession of United States property. It is also a crime to alter, deface this passport document on page 5. So I guess he's telling people to write stuff on there or something. Anyway, it says on page 5 of the passport, it reads only authorized officials of the United States or foreign countries may place stamps or make notations. I think that's what that means. Make notations or additions to this passport. Bobby Lawrence and David Strait stamp. Bobby Lawrence and David Strait stamp the passport for the people. Oh, that's not good. And they have both actively encouraged people to have it stamped in red by themselves at seminars with something like the following statement: American state national, limited diplomatic immunity, do not stop, do not detain, 50 state concealed carry. Further, the following directions as of April 2022, you are encouraged to lie to the government agents that your current passport is lost in order to get an SN passport if you have a current passport already. Well, that's a problem. Because what's he going to do when you get caught lying? You think he's going to come down there and tell him, oh, hey, I told him to do that. It's okay. It's all right, everybody. I'm David Strait. It's totally cool. That's not going to happen. So let's keep going in here. This guy's got some good stuff. Really good stuff. You are also told to make a hotel reservation in Mexico or in Canada before you go to the same day to your passport agency. Yeah, he's telling you to definitely set up a fraud there. Because all you have to do when you go to the passport office, because I have a 4-star passport too, that's what I'm going to show y'all, but I'll show it to y'all next week. Is all you got to do is just tell him when you're planning on leaving. They don't really care. And wait a minute, if he's telling you to get it certified in a non-ag country, making a hotel reservation in Mexico is not really going to support that. It's not going to support all that now, is it? Yeah. All right. Lots of other stuff in here. All right. Problems of miscellaneous processes that David teaches. Deed of reconveyance. David's document says that the one writing this document is the trustee, while T.J. Henderson does not say this. I don't know enough about this, but from my current studies, being a beneficiary seems better. So what he's talking about is this deed of reconveyance. Okay, so number one, if you're trying to go into the private with your property, you need to put it in a trust. Yeah, it's called an equity holding trust. Why is it an equity holding trust? Because it holds the equity of the property, and it's kind of like in the middle. The trust holds it up here. You're the beneficiary, you're the grantor, you're everything else. This is what I teach privately, of course. And that's basically how that works. So if you, almost here, my thing went south here. Here we go. I'm going to mute you, Arlington. Welcome to the call. And just to remind you all, if you guys have questions, comments, nice things to say, anything like that, just press * to unmute, just like John did. And I'll let you in, man. I'll let you in, and we can ask all the questions we want. So if any of this stuff, you guys want to add to any of this stuff, let me know. But I'm going to tell you, if you're trying to put your property into the private, if you're trying to do that, it needs to be in an equity holding trust. I don't see any of that here. I don't even see anybody even talking about that. And this land patent and grand deed nonsense, stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. You might get away with this in Texas. You might get away with this in Texas. Well, why would it? What's so special about Texas? Well, Texas is the last republic. It's the only republic, and it's the only state that can secede from the United States without any recourse. Everybody else needs to have a court case, and they're going to have to show a breach of contract and a bunch of other stuff to argue, and that kind of stuff. So he goes into issues about that land patent and grant deeds. I'm going to tell you I've never seen anybody successfully do that part properly. But once you file a lis pendens, and once your property is in an equity holding trust, nobody's touching your property. Nobody's moving it either. You can't. It's private. Because trusts are private. All right, let's see what he says about property taxes. We bought the story that David gave us at the first 3 seminars we went to. He taught people in 2020 and in 2021 that you can challenge your property taxes by sending in a written challenge to your county assessor. Wow. We did this twice to our county officials. We added an affidavit and also sent the document to the county treasurer and county recorder. It doesn't work. And he says, be aware that and I'm going to tell you before I even finish reading this, that the county will retaliate and they'll come after you. Oh yeah, they'll make up stuff too. Trust me. They're very creative. The vast majority of mortgage companies will pay your property taxes if you are delinquent after 4 months of delinquency due to the mortgage contract. This has been the outcome of ourselves and 2 other families I'm aware of who've attempted this process over the past year. I believe that there will be a way to challenge property taxes, and I've heard of people who have purchased the property with cash and they don't record it. Don't do this because I mentioned it. Study and do your due diligence. That's good advice. Another fellow who has claimed to have had success is Steve Emerson from Florida. I'm not gonna mention that. I don't promote people I don't know. So I don't know who Steve Emerson is. So Tim Damron didn't tell you to call him because I don't know him. And then Steve, if you want to come on the call and tell me what's up and teach us all something, then you know what? 1-888-570-7020. David Strait, you want to come on the call? You want to tell me what's up? You want to tell me how it really is? Make me have one of those little sit downs like you did with Chad? Come on and call, man. I'm right here. I'm waiting for you. Right here. I'll call you out every single Monday. Every Monday night. I will until you stop lying to people. All right. Time and money drain. 4 days, $24 registration fee, $250 late fee assessed by the county equals $300. Wow. The MCO process. This process does not work. It is Patriot mythology. Wow, that's a good way to put it. The state owns all the property as per state document 43, page 13. Okay. Let me tell you that's not necessarily true either. I know that David doesn't know what he's doing clearly, but there is a way to do this and do it properly. Here's my fruits. I did it properly. Okay. Years ago. Sorry about the time and money drain on all this, you guys. Really. There is a way to get your MSO. There is a way to get your stuff. But here's the reason those plates aren't on my car is this. Here's the reason why. If you want to be private, that means that nobody sees you. Nobody hears you. If you're driving around if you're traveling around, whatever, with these blue plates on your car, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. People are going to ask you questions. I know, because I did it for 2.5 years with my RV and a car, and we traveled the country. And he stops by the cops. Not a single one. Not even the game board. Nobody. And those of you guys, we can talk about that too. All right, the mortgage payoff pre-1965 silver quarter is a big fat no. Yeah, I can tell you that's a big fat no too, because that stuff doesn't work. It's lawful money. You have to understand that your homes are in trust, okay? And in order to deal with your trust regarding your mortgage, you have to understand trust. You have to understand how they work. If you're trying to change oil on a Corvette, you need to go get the book so you can look it up. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, it's the same thing. If you need to learn about these trusts, you need to learn how they work. You need to learn where you fit into these trusts. And then that way you can do the right talking. And most importantly, you can be heard. Guys, They just throw a bunch of knowledge out there just to get you, but they don't show you what's at the very end. They just never do. All right. I'm trying to go through all this because it's a lot. Let's see. It says a TM of names. I don't know what that means, but it says it's a big fat waste of time and money. You guys probably know what it means. It's a big fat waste of time and money, in my opinion. I do not believe judges will acknowledge this to the least. David has told me the story of Michael Jordan in his seminars to teach this process. However, you know that you are not Michael Jordan, and Nike lawyers don't show up to traffic court. Well, he's right about that. I recommend that you just do a poor man's common law. Yeah, don't. I'm not even going to read that. I don't recommend any of that. Don't. All right, invoice and true bill process. Ooh. He says it doesn't work either. So, and I know he's real big on having this terroristic paperwork that says I'm going to come and get you, and I'm going to bill you, and I'm going to invoice you, and Kenny Plaster will tell you all about billing and invoicing people. But at the end of the day, he may bill and invoice people, but he ain't got paid on a single one of those people. The only thing he's gotten is his little his SBA loan. If you Google Kenny Plaster, that's what you'll see. That's the only thing Kenny Plaster got was an SBA loan. So don't buy his stuff. State nationals don't rock, they lie. I'll just tell you that now. IRS Form 56. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I already know that's full of it. And here's why. Judges already have a fiduciary duty to the public. That's why they change hats. That's why they go from law to equity to law to equity, just depending on what it is. And this is why they do this. So this is a redundant process. Okay. Does it make sense? Yes. If you're having court in your living room and you know nothing else in the world but this, and you just have a few little variables together, yes, you could throw this Form 56 idea together and it'd be great. Here's the problem. You don't have a trust. Well, let me rephrase that. You can't do any of this stuff unless you have control of your trust. And how do you have control of your trust? Well, it's a process, and it's a private process. And those of you guys that want to know, send me an instant message. We will sit and we'll have a talk about it, and I will explain it to you and try to figure out how I can help you, if I can even help you. I don't even know if I can, but that's the way it's done. So if you want to know, you need to send me a message, and maybe we can have a talk about it. Maybe, because I don't talk to everybody about this. I just don't. And I don't have time, honestly. I have my own stuff to do. So I don't want to sell this idea to anybody because I don't need to. But if you're interested and you want to see something, then it's working and it's doing what it's supposed to do, or you just want to understand it better, this is the forum. This is the forum to ask questions, okay? I can't answer some questions. Some questions are just public and or they might be just too lengthy. Like somebody might ask me, well, what is your process? Oh my gosh, it's pages long and it's hours to explain. So maybe we need to do something else, you know? All right.
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead. Welcome to the call, by the way.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
I found you on TikTok.
Awesome.
And I was curious to know where we can instant message you at.
Oh, you can, and I'm easy to find because I don't have any made up names anywhere because I just use my real name because normal people do that. You can look me up on Facebook and under Timothy Damron, and you can do that. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at Emmett. That's EMMETT .Damron DAMRON at yahoo.com. So that's Emmett.Damron at yahoo.com. Just remember there's no I's in the name. It's EMMETT.Damron at yahoo.com. Feel free to drop me a message if you'd like to have a sit down with me and just talk with me, and let's see what you want to accomplish in all this. Some people have really big dreams and they want to do stuff, and so if I can point you in the right direction and help you, that's what I want to do. Happy to do it.
Yes. So let me get it right. EMMETTE.
No, EMMETT.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no E on the end. So real easy.
Okay.
Yeah, DAMRON. That's Daniel, Adam, Mary, Richard, Oscar, Nancy.
So Emmett.Danron at
yahoo.com.
All right.
Feel free to send me a message. Any of you guys out in TikTok land too, doesn't matter. Out in Facebook land, because we're simulcasting right now. We're actually in Facebook land too. So if you guys want to talk to me more about this, you have some more questions, maybe you have some ideas, some visions, some things that you want to do, and you want to see how we can make all this thing work, you know what? Let's talk about it. I'm happy to do it. But it's a private process, and you shouldn't throw all your private stuff out in the street. That's the number one rule with these guys right here. Anybody that's telling you, oh, come on into the private, sign into our registry so we know where you are and stuff. Don't do that. Just trying to keep you guys safe.
So the SPC process, because I've been listening to the call, and I know you've been saying some things don't work and all that. So the SPC process is valid.
It does work. It does work if you're doing it properly. The point of the SPC process is to establish the straw man as a transmitting utility. If the end result of that process entails that, then you're on the right program. If you're not making him a transmitting utility or her a transmitting utility, you're doing something wrong. And yes, that's
right. And that's with the UCC and all of that.
Well, that's how my UCC works. I can't say how everybody else's does because I don't know everything that they teach, but I can tell you that my UCC 1 filed in New Mexico. You guys can look it up if you want to, Secretary of State. It basically said it has been there since 2015 and nobody's gone to jail yet. So that just tell you that it's good. And what you want to accomplish in the process is that your straw man needs to be converted as a transmitting utility. This happens when you have children with special needs that can't take care of themselves. They'll file the same UCC. They'll do the same thing. And then what they do is they make them a transmitting utility and hold it in trust so that they can get all their services and stuff discharged out of the transmitting utility. Make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm still trying to grasp all of this because, like you mentioned earlier, there's different processes, and I know one process I heard of, which was recent to me after learning about all of this, which kind of threw me off a little bit, is the name change. When people, I'm part of a Telegram group, and they go back and forth, right? There's people in there that have different ideas about it. Some say no, you don't do a name change. Some say you do. Some say that you're granting jurisdiction when you're requesting for a name change. Some say you're not because you're just acknowledging or something like that. I don't know.
Well, you're commingling. You're commingling your private and public side.
Right. I heard you say that earlier, and that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and you can't do that because then guess what? They could just barbecue your butt and they're in the ticket. It doesn't make any sense. Like it sounds good in like somebody's living room, and then you're like, yeah. And then you think about it, and you're like, oh shit, never mind. No, we shouldn't do that. That's dumb. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to look. The whole point of this process is to like I said with the special ed student, you know what I'm saying? That they can't manage their own stuff anymore. So they create stuff so they can discharge debt off of them. Another example of that is if you ever win the lottery, that's exactly what they're going to do to you. They're going to set you up a UCC. It's going to be filed with the Secretary of State. You're going to be turned into a transmitting utility, and they're going to discharge all of that debt off of you because you're the winner. Chicken dinner. Yeah.
When you say they, who's they?
The state, the other beneficiaries. So you ever notice during the lottery, they always tell you how much the state's going to get? Like it's big news. And you're like, dude, shut up. We just want to know what Johnny's going to get. We don't care what you're going to get.
Right. Like the Mega Millions winner in Illinois.
Right. And the first thing you're going to hear before the Mega Millions winner is how much the state's going to get. You ever notice that?
Yeah, I remember hearing something about the IRS getting,
Yeah.
most of it.
And then
But I
the
don't know.
state gets to tax the you know what out of it too. So then they get to double dip in there too, and then everybody gets to play with the dipstick. That's how that works. It's terrible. It's terrible.
So then you're saying the state in that instance files a UCC on the lotto winner?
Oh, they do yeah, if you look on your UCC one, it'll ask you if you're a lotto winner or not.
Oh, interesting.
No
I've looked
kidding.
at it. I've never seen that. I haven't.
Yeah, but it may depend on the state. But like I know the one in New Mexico said that it it asked me if I was a lottery winner. I was like, what? And then I started
Yeah, it
researching.
may. I
I was
haven't.
like, damn it, that Egg McMahon. Damn it. Now I know what he's been doing this whole time. Bastard. I know it now.
So when I think, like if I were to ever win the lotto, I'd create a trust right away and try. I don't know. So in that instance, right, if someone has created a trust before cashing the lotto and then cashes it,
I don't know, man.
I mean,
The odds are that's all a setup anyway. Just know that that's all a setup. It's all it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And here and I'll give you some more nuggets about lottery stuff. You guys ever see those? You ever see those websites where you can go in and look up your birth certificate and see how much it's worth? You ever seen those for the EE bonds through the Treasury Direct? You ever seen that?
I've heard of them. I've heard of it. Yes.
Go in there and plug in your lotto numbers, the ones that you picked that didn't win, and you're going to find out that every one of those lottery tickets is a bond. And what do? We throw them in the trash. What does the state do? They wait till they mature and they go, hoo-hoo. Yeah.
So you know what I've heard about those sites is that it's not accurate. It's just going based off of like if it were a real bond or something. Or is
What's
it like
that?
the Fidelity site?
Well, no, the Fidelity site is legit. It's real. It'll show you the EE bonds. It'll show you how they're performing. You can look at lots of things. Like if you ever get an insurance check, look on the back of your insurance check. You'll see the red number on the back, and just go put that in there and all the dates and everything from the check, and put that in there, and you're gonna find out that the $500 check that you're signing off on is probably a $10,000 bond. So there's no money in the account. It's just a transmitting utility. So once you start learning this backdoor banking process that they do on us, then you can start doing it to yourself if you set yourself up right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because right now I'm actually involved in a civil suit. I'm a plaintiff for someone crashed into my car, and the insurance company didn't want to cover the full damages. So I filed suit, and it seems like the judge is just like stringing this case along. Like she's not like.
Does the other side have an attorney?
They do, yeah, and that's the reason why I think the judge is just like
Let me tell you why they're stringing your case along. Probably. So every time you show up to court, there's bid and performance bonds, and on criminal cases and civil cases, what they typically do is they have everybody make a bunch of ghost appearances and then send everybody home. It's like an exercise. Well, what they're doing is that you're like a horse race. So if the defendant came in first and the plaintiff came in second, then they record it as such, and then they go and cash all the bonds out because all the horses came in and everybody performed. And then what do? They send you back to go do it again in 3 months. Why? So they can hit it again. It's all about money. It's all about finance. So what you have to do in this process is that you have to put yourself over and above your entity. And I have a way I've done it. And like I said, we could talk about it more, but privately, but there's a way to do it. But here's the thing with a lot of these teachers, you've got to make sure that they can actually tell you, can you show me from here to the lake or not? If they can't tell you, well, I kind of think it's, you know what, just go, just move on. Because he's trying to set you up to go do something that he's too scared to do himself.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out the best way to speed this up, and I just actually obtained the judge's oath of office today, and I was going to file it into the case.
Well, that's not going to help you on a civil case. So what you have right now is that you have a jurisdictional issue. You have some other issues. The problem is that you're in commerce. Your vehicles were in commerce, and the court's claiming jurisdiction because you have a damaged party. right?
Yeah, I'm the damaged party. I'm the one that filed the complaint.
Oh, it's for you. You're going after them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't piss off the judge. Don't do that. That's not nice. Here's what you do: file affidavits with the court. Just be really nice,
What?
and everything that you filed with the court, your complaint, everything, get it notarized to make sure everything is filed. That way, there is no question as to what you've said or what you haven't said. And if the attorneys decide they want to start talking, they can't, because they don't have any personal experience. They don't have any personal knowledge, and they can't testify against a counter, or they cannot file a counter affidavit in response to your affidavit. And if you want to look up some case law on that, look up Cox versus Stern.
Okay.
And it specifically talks about attorneys cannot do it. And if they do it, this is a canon. It's a canon case law, or canon. It's a Supreme Court case, is what it is. But it's canon law now. And then all you need to do is just file. You need to object every time they say something. You can just object, and that's really the best way. If you have to go stick it out in court, that's really the best way to do it. And it sounds like that's the remedy you're seeking. So, and we could talk about that too if you'd like. I can help.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it seems just they haven't even filed an answer. I filed this complaint in February, and
How long have they been served? How long has it been?
Well, March 28th, I think. Yeah, March 28th was the first court date.
What state are you in?
Illinois.
Illinois. You have 21 days to answer in Illinois. So
yeah,
they've never answered your complaint?
They asked for an extension. Then I'm telling you, they played me because they asked for an extension.
Okay.
Then the judge took a while to sign the order. So then the order for them to either answer or file a motion to dismiss or whatever got extended beyond that court date because of the judge delaying signing the order.
Okay.
And then they filed a motion to dismiss, and then we just had a hearing because I followed up, with a response. Then I filed a motion, for leave to amend to add jury trial, and so then the judge now made their motion to dismiss moot, and now they're going to follow up with another motion to dismiss, and it's out for like another, I don't know, 45 days or so.
Look up in your state. Look up the rules for to respond, and then look under the case law that's associated with it. Okay. And so look up you need to file a notice of non-response.
A notice of non-response?
Yeah.
Well, no, because the judge put in another order allowing them to answer in 30 days from the day of the.
Yeah, but you can object to that. And here's why you can object to that. And I would object to it. And here's why. If you've already passed the 21 days, it's too late to ask for forgiveness. So look up the law in your state and get some case law on that, and file a motion, file an affidavit of non-response. And then you probably need to file a motion for summary judgment.
Yeah, that was my next move. I was going to actually send out an affidavit to the insurance company, because basically that's those are the facts there. That, besides the police report, the incident, and then the insurance company not paying, not covering the full damages. So I was going to send them.
Did you file an affidavit of claim with the insurance company? Sorry to interrupt you.
I did not. You
need to. That's why they're filing a motion to dismiss and acting like you don't have anything in your breadbasket.
Right. Okay.
They are, right?
So affidavit of claim, or that's what it is, affidavit of claim that I need to send over to them?
Yeah, because in your lawsuit, I'm sure that you tell them, did you give an amount that you were seeking?
I for for some things, yes.
Okay. So here's what you need to do. You need to file a, send me an email. We'll sit and visit for a little bit. I'll tell you what you need to do. There's a bunch of stuff I would recommend that you probably research and do. I mean, there's limits. We really can't give you legal advice, but I can tell you procedure. And where you're at right now is you need to nail the head on these guys and say, hey, the court's receiving record. You need to make so the three jurisdictions. There's one jurisdiction which is the law, right? An injured party, all that stuff. Okay. Then you got this other one, which is equity. Okay. If the other person accepts the claim and they don't say anything, then they've defaulted. Okay. So, but they don't, but the judge doesn't go, oh, they defaulted just for you, because that's his friend over there. He doesn't give a crap about you. He cares about his friend over there. So it's your responsibility to, and he's going to tell you that, I can't give you legal advice and tell you what to do, but he'll help his homie out over there. But for you, no. We're not going to do that.
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to make a record on the court. And I recommend this anybody that's in pro se court, file affidavits on everything. No matter what your responses are, get them notarized, and do not walk your stuff down to the court. Learn the mailing process. Learn mailbox. If you understand what mailbox is, the mailbox rule is, and I recommend you look it up. This is another way of contracting that you can pull into the courts and tell them, hey, they accepted this and they didn't respond to it. Oh, you got them. But guess what? There's no assumption. So if you don't say it, they're not going to invoke it. Make sense?
Yeah. So another concern that I had with this court is there's no court reporter, and so there's no way for me to document these things. And
that's why you file affidavits. That's why you file affidavits with the court. Good. So whatever nonsense that they decide to say in there, it's all up in the air and none of it counts. But everything you put on an affidavit, that counts.
Okay.
So make your case, okay? And it's real important that you do that. And we have to learn to, and this is something that the David Straight gang is not going to teach you how to do, because they don't understand any of this. They just understand, walking around with a bunch of fake lightsabers, saying the force will be with you. And that stuff doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. So the oath of office, I shouldn't piss the judge off.
Yeah, hold off on that, man. Hold off on that. Don't go after his oath of office just yet, because you're the plaintiff. You know what? You still got a shot at winning. You need to prove your case.
Right. So for the affidavit, I was going to send it to the insurance company. So I need to give them some time to rebut, right? Before I file it.
No, just file it.
With the clause in there that they have so much time to rebut.
I would file your affidavit of claim with the default notice. So therefore, here's your affidavit of claim. Here's everything that you're claiming because they defaulted. Basically, that's what I would be thinking. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, because they said that there was. Yeah, I mean it's a little tricky because they said that the policy limits were reached, but
that's not relevant. If the policy limits were reached, where's the policy? Then you're talking about nothing. I object. Shut up. There's no policy on the record. There's no policy in front of you. So what are you speaking? Hearsay? Sounds like hearsay.
Right. Yeah. And so the other thing is also the person that struck my car was a driver that is not listed as an insured. They are covered as, they are covered, but I guess they're trying to attack the way my
well, they can. You don't have
my complaint is written.
Yeah, you don't. If it's not in an affidavit, it's just up in the air. Anybody could tear it up. Now, once it becomes an affidavit, that's prima facie. Once it's prima facie, then a qualified person has to rebut it. Otherwise, they're just talking about bubblegum wrappers. Does that make sense?
It does. So I heard that the judge can throw out an affidavit.
No, you can't.
No, I heard that it should be recorded somewhere.
Well, you need to file it with
it makes it illegal.
Well, you need to file it with the court record, because once the court accepts it after 3 days, unless the judge has personal knowledge. And if he does, he needs to recuse himself. After it's been on the record for 3 days, the judge can't do that. And you could appeal it. This is when you start getting this is when you do the administrative stuff. This is when you start being a tough guy. But you don't need to be a tough guy until he breaches his oath. So, but I'll tell you what, send me a message, man, and we'll sit down and we'll go into some more of this, and we'll visit some more. I've got some more stuff I want to cover tonight, and we're going in actually past 7, but I got some more stuff I'm going to squeeze in tonight. You're very welcome, man. It's been a pleasure, really been a pleasure, all of you guys. And anyway, let's go back to this other thing too. So one of the things that we talked about a few weeks ago too is that when Chad Cater came on the call, is that he talked about the valor issue. Okay, anybody that says they're a patriot, but yet they're going to steal valor, and they're going to say that that he was a Navy SEAL when he wasn't, or he was a merchant marine when he wasn't, and this little thing right here, I actually have a text message, and it says it right here. TikTok saw this and like immediately took it off. So I can only guess that David got excited about it, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, David says, please text me. I cannot possibly get to all the calls. Thank you. And he goes, and the response from him said that this is one call that you really should return, David. No sweat. I'll get your phony Navy SEAL of the week up in a couple of days. See ya. So here's what David had to say about that. I was never a Navy SEAL. I redacted the claim and explained it. I don't know how you can explain this. In a public explained and did it in a public apologized for how it happened and asked for forgiveness, and I received neither an honorable nor a dishonorable discharge, and everything I teach is about the message and not me. Well, it is about you because you're putting yourself out there, homie, so you shouldn't say stuff like that. But anyway, please accept my apology, and sincerely, this got way out of hand. I plead forgiveness. Well, that's good. But here's the thing. If you listen, he hasn't taken down any of his videos. The videos where he still puts himself up there as being a Navy SEAL, they're still running on YouTube. So when he tells you that everything is about the message and not about him, that's wrong. Because if he was really sorry, he would take that crap down. And I'm going to tell you, the House of Yah Community Outreach, we stand behind our vets and we support our vets. And I'm going to tell you, deep down in my heart, and even on the cover too, I love my vets. I love what they've done for this country. I love the fact that they look death in the eye just so that I could say this to you today. Just so that I have the freedom to say this to you today. Maybe not on TikTok, but I got the freedom today to say it. And you know what? I appreciate you, all of you veterans that laid it down for this country. But I see so many of you patriots and veterans following this guy. You don't come back from that. How do you just make something, and I don't even care. I got no sympathy for that. There's not many merchant Marines. So, I mean, if you'd have said like, maybe he was some guy that cleaned the bathrooms or something, maybe, I probably wouldn't be so pissed off. But just to take such a heavy, to do something like that, I think is just, it's terrible. Anyway, later in this conversation, this gentleman also tells him, he says, you've never served a single day in uniform, never shot in the sternum, and no Trump child trafficking special agent. I'm not going to say that. 100% phony. I'm tired of verifying you. You hit the top of Google in a couple of days, and you're a phony. And you're not going to like me very much. So I had somebody this week ask me, I'm not going to go through the rest of all this, but I'm going to tell you, this dude thinks he's a cop. Okay. This is the same. And I found it really odd that Anna Von Wright and him are mad at each other because they're both doing the same thing. She's got the fake marshals, and I guess he's got these Republic of Texas Rangers. Oh, well, he's a Texas Ranger now. What does he think he is? I'm just telling you, guys, be careful. Okay. You know what? If you're going to get behind somebody that knows the process, get behind somebody that knows the process. But you know what? Check everything they say. Even check everything I say. Okay. I could be wrong. You guys, listen back to my old video, the Living Life Without Contracts video. The first one, the one that's up there. There was some old stuff in there that's dated. Yep. I didn't know everything back then, and I still don't. But here's what I do know. I know what works and I know what doesn't work. I know the truth and I know a lie. And a man that will lie to you publicly, I mean, you know, I'm out. And this Anaheim Wright person, all kinds of people are going to go to jail. If you're doing any of this paperwork that these clowns are selling, look, there's some nuggets in there, okay? There's some knowledge in there. There's some law in there that is correct, okay? But I'm going to tell you, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the wisdom to use it, you're still a fool. You're still a fool, David Straight. Because you don't have the wisdom or the experience to be teaching people like this, to be telling people to rise up against their government. You know what we need to do? We need to control our government, and we need to learn how. Yeah. We need to learn how the switches are pulled and how these things happen. If you want control over our government, you better get invested. You better learn how all this stuff works. Some books like this. Yeah. This is how it really works. This is a textbook. We're going to be going back through this next month. Or next month. We're going to be going back through this book. We're going to learn more about this. We're going to learn more about procedures. We're going to learn about how to call a pig a poodle. We're going to learn all their little words, because what you're going to learn after a while of this, and what I've learned after a while of doing this, is that it's just a bunch of casting and it's a bunch of spells. Yep. Simple pimple. That's all it is. So just like we learned to go to the spelling bee and we learned to spell, you know what? We still have to put ourselves in a position where we can still learn. Otherwise, yeah, you lost our country. Yep. And can I tell you, sovereignty is found within the individuals, not within groups. See, and I've said this before, that a democracy is a group of people. Say if there's 8 out of 10 people in the room and they all want to go fishing, then 10 people are going fishing. That's a democracy, okay? What David Straight is trying to do is create another democracy. What Anna von Wright is trying to do is create a whole new police force, a whole nother democracy, a whole nother everything else. Can I tell you, absolute power corrupts. That's why there's a difference between church and state. We need to know. We need to have that side that's going to make the right decisions, that's going to do the right things. And with all that power, it could easily be very mismanaged. And you know what? I think we're seeing a lot of that. I want to welcome all of you guys, and I thank you all for being here tonight. I hope that you left here with more than what you came with, and that's my intention. We have a fiduciary duty to serve the public, and we have a duty under Yahweh to preach the gospel. And gospel is not a tract. I've said this many times before. Gospel is just simple truth, and that's what I'm all about, you guys. If there's any other questions or comments, I could take those real quick. Go ahead, Arlington.
Yes, my name is Sean Gray. I had a quick question. If you know anybody by the name of Brad Tipton, he kind of teaches along the same lines of, freeing yourself, but he'll teach you how to discharge debt and everything. Do you know anything about him?
I don't. I really don't. And I've heard the name. I've heard Tipton. I have heard of the name. When people run through the thing, so-and-so is, so-and-so is, I don't know who a bunch of these people are, but a few of them do come up on my radar. Here's what I would do. And I would just get all the information that you can and research it all and make sure that you know the ins and outs, discharging this discharging debt thing, depending on how he's doing it. You need to be very careful with that. People that have done it wrong and not properly have ended up with $5,000 frivolous filing fees that get from the IRS. for that sort of thing. Understand that your social security number only does a few things. Even though it fills up all the blanks of an EIN, it's not an EIN, and it never will be. And an EIN will allow you to discharge commercial debt. Your social security number, not so much, will not do it. It absolutely will not do it because it's not meant to do that. It's meant to be a transmitting utility, and that's what it's meant to do. So there's some changes that you're going to need to make to really perfect that process and do it right. There are some 1099s you can do on your own though with the social. Like you could do the 1099 miscellaneous. Those of you that are renting, yeah, you could do that. You could totally do it. If you read the little information on there, it'll tell you it's for rents and services due. So obviously everybody that if you're not paying, if you don't own a home, or if you're under the delusion of owning a home, when you really don't, but you're paying for it. If you're renting it, you have a really unique opportunity to discharge all of your debt every year. You can do that. That's free nuggets.
He's really big on showing people the procedure and how to write like promissory notes. And
Well,
he seems,
here's the problem with that too, and I've been down that road too. You can write promissory notes, but you need to have the right account to convert it. You can write all the promissory notes in the world, but they won't deposit into your checking account because it's not meant to set up for those kinds of funds. You need a commercial trust account that will accept all forms of currency in order to do that properly. See, and this is the stuff they don't tell you.
Okay.
But go ahead. What else you got?
Oh, do you have to separate yourself from a citizenship status in order to use discharging techniques?
Well, what you want to do is basically that you need to put your. Remember, I was talking to a gentleman earlier about how special needs children get a UCC filed against them, and they're set up as a transmitting utility so that they can get all of the wheelchairs and all that stuff that they need to have. Well, that right there is a model on exactly how it's done. And that is the model that I teach and I follow. So if you're interested in learning more about it, we could talk. We could set up a private meeting. I can give you my email address, or you can hit me up on Facebook, whatever. Just send me a message. We could sit down and talk. And I like to talk to everybody that I teach. And if I do decide to go forward with a class and I feel like your intentions are good, then I definitely want to help you. I definitely want to get you in the right direction, but I don't always say yes. But if it's something you want to do and you're interested in doing, send me a message and we can kind of sit and talk, and I can figure out what's in your stable, because obviously you've picked up some knowledge, and we want to make sure we plug that in the right places so that you can use it. Makes sense?
Yeah. I admit I kind of stepped off in some crap along the way. Like I ordered the guy you're just talking about him and his packages and everything.
Oh,
I ordered
or the National Fraud guy,
the other plaster
guy, yeah.
Yeah, plaster guy. Yes, I ordered it, but nothing's been sent off. I haven't signed off on anything. It's just been ordered.
I'm going to tell you, I personally had Kenny Plaster in one of my classes, and I regret I should have vetted him better, and I should have not had him in my class, because everything he learned from me, he didn't really learn it. He just effed it up, for lack of a better word. He really did. He just took like this stupid stuff. Like I teach, like he'll tell you that I teach the process of mailbox, and I teach how to use a firm mailing book and stuff like that. That's something that David Straight doesn't teach you how to do. And you need to know how to do that, because that's contracting. Like I was talking to the gentleman earlier about his case. When you're filing this stuff, the post office is our courtrooms. That's our courtroom. That's where things happen, and that's where things are decided, and that's where things are cured. And as long as you stay in that realm, then you can maintain that jurisdiction. And and that's a superior jurisdiction. So when you're going in that direction, you're definitely going to come in the door with a lot more punch, and they're less likely to ask you to come to court. I assure you.
Okay.
So
I appreciate the information. I'll email you or again, contact with you later, and we can set something up. But
that sounds
I
terrific.
appreciate the info.
I appreciate you too, man. Thanks for being on the call tonight. Happy to do it. And with that being said, at 7:22, we're going to go ahead and shut it down tonight. I appreciate everyone being here tonight. You know, just be safe, be smart. We'll go through more of this thing with David Straight. If you guys want a copy of this, by the way, send me a message. It's 18 pages long. It's got text messages and all kinds of good gossip in there. But my point was not to bury David Straight. My point was to help you, to help all of you. Don't waste your time with these people. Make sure that they have fruits. Make sure they have something to show for themselves. Because if they don't, and you can't Google their name and you can't see all this superstar stuff that they're talking about, because Kenny Plaster will tell you that he goes after judges too, but he's never gone after a single judge. And the last judge he went after was the CEO judge here in San Antonio, and he spanked him so hard he didn't know what to do, and he'll admit that too. But anyway, that's another story in itself. You all have a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We give praise and honor and glory to Yahweh because he's so good at what he does. And I look forward to meeting more of y'all next week. Join us on the call. If you guys have questions, bring them. I'll answer them. I'll stop everything I'm doing. I don't even care about what I'm talking about. If you guys have questions, I want to answer them. I want to take them all the way down to Paradise City so you know exactly what's going on. So you guys be super blessed in all you do. Remember that Yahweh loves you. He does. And so do I. You guys be good. Blessings, everyone. Good night.